Diksha, the children can go to the children's class. So we organize in the festival preparation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayana Namaskritya
Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudaya Nashkataeshu Adreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. We read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Kanpur, chapter 5, Narada's instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam. Text number 10. Nayat Vachas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pavunita Kalpiche Tatvaya Sankirtam Shaktimanasa Nayatraham Saniramatu Sikshaya Nayat Vachas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pavunita Kalpiche Tatvaya Sankirtam Shaktimanasa Nayatraham Saniramatu Sikshaya Nayat Vachas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pavunita Kalpiche Tatvaya Sankirtam Shaktimanasa Nayatraham Saniramatu Sikshaya
Ayat Bhajas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pranita Karjite Tatvaya Sankirtam Shaktimanasa Tatvaya Sankirtam Shikshaya
Nayat Vachas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho
Nayat Vachas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pranita Karjite Tatvaya Sankirtam Shaktimanasa Nayatraham Saniramanti Shikshaya
Nayat Vachas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho
Nayat Vachas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho
Jagat Pavitram Pranita Karjite
Tatvaya Sankirtam Shaktimanasa Nayatraham Saniramanti Shikshaya Nayat Vachas Chitrapadam Hare Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pranita Karjite Tatvaya Sankirtam Shaktimanasa Nayatraham Saniramanti Shikshaya
decorated,
arrayed
of the Lord, Yashaha, glories, Jagat, universe, Pavitram, sanctified, Prabhupada, described, Parichit, hardly, that, Vayasam, rose, Kirtam, place of pilgrimage, Kushanti, Til, Manasaha, saintly persons, Na, Yatra, where, Hamsaha, all perfect beings, Niramanti, take pleasure, Ushikshaya, those who reside in the transcendental level. Translation for poor guys and Jai Shri. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like into a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Further, crows and swans are not birds of same feathers because of their different mental attitudes. The fruity workers or passionate men are compared to crows, whereas the all perfect saintly persons are compared to the swans. The crows take pleasure in the place where garbage is thrown, just as passionate fruity workers take pleasure in wine and women and places for dross and pleasure. The swans do not take pleasure in the places where crows are assembled for conference and meetings. They are instead seen in the atmosphere of natural scenic beauty, where there are transparent reservoirs of water, nicely decorated with stems of lotus flowers and variegated colors of natural beauty. That is the difference between the two classes of birds. Nature has influenced different species of life with different mentalities, and it is not possible to bring them up into the same rank and file. Similarly, different kinds of literatures for different types of men of different mentality. Similarly, there are different kinds of literatures for different types of men of different mentality. Mostly the market literatures which attract men of gross category are literatures containing refuse prevalence of sensuous topics. They are generally known as mundane talks in relation to the gross body and supplement. They are full of subject matter described in decorative language, full of mundane similes and metaphorical arrangements. Yet with all that, they do not glorify the Lord. Such poetry and prose on any subject matter is considered decorations of a dead body. Spiritually advanced men who are compared to the swans do not take pleasure in such dead literatures, which are source of pleasure for men who are spiritually dead. These literatures in the mode of passion and ignorance are distributed under the different labels, but they can hardly help the spiritual urge of the human being. And thus the swan-like spiritually advanced men have nothing to do with them. Such spiritually advanced men are called also manasa, because they always keep up the standard of transcendental voluntary service to the Lord on the spiritual plane. This completely forfeits fruitive activity for gross bodily satisfaction or subtle speculation of material egoistic mind. So, social literary men, scientists, mundane poet, theoretical philosophers, and politicians who are completely absorbed in material advancement of sense pleasure are all dolls of material energy. They take pleasure in a place where rejected subject matter are thrown. According to Swami Sridhar, this is the pleasure of the prosperity thinkers. But literature which describe the glories of the Lord are enjoyed by Paramahamsas who have vast presence of human activities.
Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sadhikam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttaraparamam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sargana Raghunatham Sajivam Sarvayam Sadhunam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sargana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Vinamini Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pachasare Swarani Mancha Vandadalupyasya Kripa Sindhurene Nacha Patitanam Bhagavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Navachiyama Hare Krishna Karma Sindhu Dinavando Jagatpari Gopesha Gopina Nanda Namaste Tattakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavadeshwari Yasavanu Devi Pranamami Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
So this is a very nice section where Vyasadeva, he is in so much of anxiety or he is completely confused of what he's supposed to do, and he's basically like in that confused state. He is trying to seek the guidance and mercy of the Lord, and at that time, the spiritual master Narada Muni actually comes, and then Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, he's addressing Vyasadeva, saying that, you, how come you have such kind of a dilemma and things like that? So you have sufficiently studied the Vedic literatures and you have written down also all of them in an organized way. In fact, Vyasadeva is a literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord. He's an empowered personality who can present the Vedic literatures in an unadulterated way. So it's a very, very exalted personality. So it's just like a person is trying to create a medicine for a particular disease, and in the process of creating the medicine, he is getting depressed that the medicine will not work. So something like that. He is trying to guide the people through the Vedic literatures. And in the process of compiling the Vedic literatures, he is finding that this is not going to solve the problem for which he is actually making all this endeavor. So that time, Narada Muni is mentioning that you have sufficiently studied and you have sufficiently presented this Vedic literatures. Why are you dissatisfied? So then Vyasadeva says, you see, I am not able to understand my root cause of my dissatisfaction, and you are such an exalted personality, and you are born of the supreme person within the universe, that is Brahma, and you are sufficiently educated, and then you know the nuances of devotional service. So you please advise me, and you please help me find where is the missing link, or where is the gap that is there. So because of which I am finding complete despondency and dissatisfaction, even after performing such a commendable task of compiling all the Vedic literatures. So then Narada is mentioning that the root cause is actually mentioning about you have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the Supreme Personality of God. And that philosophy that does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. So now, after that, it is mentioned, although great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles beginning with religious performance you have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality, Vasudeva. And then comes the Vivek Shloka. So those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for those. Since all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive pleasure, they do not derive any pleasure there. So now, at this point in time, so only Srimad Bhagavatam is left to be compiled. All other Vedic literatures are compiled. And we understand that from all the Vedic literatures, including Vedas and Ramayana and all these different literatures. So the only purpose of all these literatures is to Hariksetra Prb. So the Supreme Lord is being glorified in all these places. And what is that Narada is telling that you have not glorified the Supreme Lord? So the entire purpose of all the Vedic literatures is Vedescha Sarve Ahameva Vedya. So the purpose of Vedas is to glorify the Supreme Lord. So but why is it that Vyasadeva is being accused that he has not glorified the Supreme Lord? So there is there is two kinds of meanings that the Vedas actually produce. So one is the external meaning and the internal meaning. So the internal meaning of all the Vedic literatures is to glorify the Supreme Personality of God. And the glorification of Supreme Personality of Godhead are utilized in two different ways. So one is the glorification of the Lord, accompanied with the Varnashrama Dharma or the material activities. So they can produce Artha and Kama, so they can produce the material element. And the glorification of the Lord, with full dependence on the Lord, and just to attain the lotus feet of the Lord, that's a different kind of glorification. So these two are quite different. And Vyasadeva has demonstrated or written all the Vedic literatures for one purpose that has been highlighted here. So that is, although great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles beginning with religious performance. So what is that? Religious performance with dharma. So he has broadly described the four principles, that is dharma, artha, kama and moksha. He has very nicely described all of them in a very broad sense, very detailedly. But then you have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality, Vasudeva. So even those things are also considered to be glories of the Supreme Lord, because without glories of the Supreme Lord, these literatures will not have its standing. So but in spite of that, there needs to be an exclusive and unadulterated glory of the Supreme Lord, which is not dealing with Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, which is dealing exclusively on attaining the lotus feet of the Lord. So such kind of a glorification. So that has been mentioned over here. So it is if somebody is driving a vehicle, so it is going in a particular speed. So and then when the vehicle is not started, so you say the vehicle is not running. And then when the vehicle is going in a particular speed, when you want a much more higher speed, so still you will tell that vehicle is not running properly. So it's something of that sort it is. So glorification of the Lord is sufficiently there in the scriptures, but still such kind of a glorification where exclusively, only for the sake of attaining Him, so and with complete dependence. So that kind of glorification is absent. So in the rest of the Vedic literatures. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam stands out of all the Vedic literatures. It is also considered to be Grantharaj or the king of all the Vedic literatures, because it is it glorifies the Supreme Lord in a way which other Vedic literatures also doesn't glorify. It is a very, very special way of glorification of the Lord. So now we see that today's text, those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, which alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Vayasam Tirtha. Tirtha means holy place. And Vayasam Tirtham is holy place of, basically holy place means a place where all these people congregate, come together. So, so Vayasam Tirtham, the crows also congregate, crows also go to a particular place where filth is thrown out. So that such place they actually congregate. And everybody has their own attractions in this world, and specifically they get attracted to that particular thing. So it is not that there is a rule that all wine shops should be active only in the night, but naturally they become active in the night. And it is not a rule that all temples and things like that should be active in the morning. So naturally they become active. So because the people of that kind of mindset will get attracted to that kind of time and space and things like that. So in fact, there is a servant of Sanatana Goswami, one of our acharya. So he was requested by some men that there is a very big festival that is going to happen, and you should come and participate. And he went and took permission from Sanatana Goswami. Oh, my master, I got an invitation for a festival, so can I go and participate? So when is the festival? What is the festival? So I don't have much clarity of the festival, but the festival is going to happen tonight. And then he asked what is that festival which is happening in the night? So no, it seems to be a very nice festival. So then Sanatana Goswami told, okay, fine, you are so eager, you go, but don't accept anything what they are offering there. You just bring it, whatever is there, you just bring it, and tomorrow morning we will discuss. So then he went to the festival. It was very colorful, very nice, songs and festivities and were there. And then there were nice feasts and things like that. So then the next day morning, when they saw that nice feast was in the form of flesh and untouchables and things like that. So then the servant was so perturbed, and he asked Sanatana Goswami, I could not understand what it is. Yesterday, it is all very nice, and today morning, if I see it is all untouchable things. So then Sanatana Goswami told, see, who will have festival in the night? It will be ghosts and all these personalities. so they are the ones who will have festival in the night. With an exception of Krishna Janmashtami, because Krishna appeared in the night actually. So in that way, so generally, any activity that is happening in the deep night and things like that, it must be in mode of ignorance. Any activity that is happening in the early morning, so it must be in the mode of goodness and things like that. So there is a natural attraction, for whatever natures we have, and accordingly we will be attracted to various different things, right? So it's a natural demarcation, and this one it happens. It doesn't need to be if you see a fly, it actually goes to a filthy area. Even if there is a very nice garden, still it will search for some filthy area and it will go and it will stay there. And a butterfly or a honeybee and things like that. So they like to go to flowers which are very fragrant and things like that. So naturally they have their orientations and they will be attracted to such visuals. And here it is mentioned, those literature which doesn't glorify the Supreme Lord, and the position of the Supreme Lord is mentioned. The glories of the Supreme Lord can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe. Right? So we are also trying to preach the message of Krishna consciousness, to bring in sanctity, or to bring in purity in people's mind, and bring in peace in the society and things like that. So then we need to present the message of Krishna consciousness as it is. We cannot speculate. We cannot make any alterations and adjustments and things like that. So then it will lose its originality. The pure glories of the Lord, as it is transmitted in the Guru Parampara, so we need to present it as it is. So then there is some possibility of bringing about sanctity in the sanctity in the whole atmosphere of the whole universe. And those who do not describe the glories of the Supreme glories of the Lord, who alone sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons, to be unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. So like even devotees who are trained in Krishna consciousness, if they go to any place or any gatherings where nothing about glorification of the Lord is being discussed over there, so we will find it completely out of place. So what is this? Like, we are used to any festival, any gathering, any this one, there must be like chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, there must be discussion of glories of the Lord, and there must be distribution of prasadam and things like that. So without that, we cannot think of any festival, so any gathering. So when the materialistic people, when they come together, so they don't perform all these things. So then the devotees find out of place. The devotees don't take pleasure in such a atmosphere. But at the same time, for materialists, they find it like very, very nice. They find it, they call it life is meant for enjoyment. And in fact, they find the devotees, they see the devotees in a beautiful way. That you don't have any enjoyment in life. So what enjoyment do you have? It's like, you don't go to malls, you don't go to film, you don't go to any of these things, you don't even go to restaurant. Like, what is the life that you're living? So, but then we say we go to Sunday feast, we go to like yatras and festivals and things like that, and you say hey, no, what is this? Temple means 5 minutes you should go and come. Like, थोड़ा सा प्रसाद लेना चाहिए, and भगवान से प्रार्थना करना चाहिए कि all my enjoyment is nicely protected. So that is the purpose we go to the temple. So what will you do in the temple more than 5-10 minutes? It's a big question. That क्या भीड़ लगा हुआ है, like line लगा हुआ है? No line, nothing. So but still, what are you doing in the temple? So people find it quite quite odd, that you are spending so much time. So in fact, one student, he was regularly coming to ISKCON and he was trying to listen to this one. What is it? He liked Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam discourses and all, and he started listening. And the parents became so much worried. So कुछ problem हो गया क्या? Why are you spending so much time in the temple? Are you going through some depression or कुछ गलती किया? क्या हुआ तुम्हारा life में? So they started inquiring so much. And he told, no, I just like to go into the temple. And whatever they're discussing, it is nice. Like, I just like to listen to these things. So, no, कुछ तो problem हो गया. So you tell what is the problem. हम सब ठीक कर देंगे. So going to the temple and spending time means like कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. So people think like that. So but actually speaking, not taking pleasure in these things, that is गड़बड़ है. People are not able to take pleasure in chanting the names of the Lord. They are not able to take pleasure in discussing the glories of the Lord. So that is actually no problem. Actually, so the saintly persons consider this to be a problem, and the materialistic persons consider exactly the opposite to be a problem. Right? So now we see, Prabhupada is writing the purport. Crows and swans are not birds of same feather because of their different mental attitudes. We all know this saying, birds of same feather flock together, right? So they all congregate together and they like to be in each other's company and things like that. But crows, you will find there is a different assembly, and the swans, you will find there is a different assembly. So swans are generally there in a very clear lake, where everything is very serene and peaceful and things like that. And crows will be there in. Have you ever seen swan in Bangalore roads, on top of your houses? So, but crows congregate in top of our houses, no? So anyway, city life means it is. We should understand it is. And in fact, not just one devotee. I've heard from many devotees that when they invite their parents to come and stay in the nice posh apartment of a Bangalore Vasi, and with AC and all the modern amenities and things like that. And the parents are from little village background, so they come here and they say what is this life within 4 walls? And AC here, all facilities are there, Blinkit is there, you just you can order anything, and they tell this is hell, So fresh air is not there, nothing, it's just being compressed within 4 walls. What is the life over here? So they mention like that. And in fact, on the contrary, some devotees, like they had gone to some very nice farm project, like nice natural serene atmosphere and things like that. So one devotee was telling, Prabhuji, this air is too pure. No, I'm not able to breathe properly. And Bangalore वापस आने के बाद मैं बोल रहा हूँ ये ठीक है थोड़ा बहुत contamination होना चाहिए. So like so that is our state of existence. So we got used to so much of contamination and pollution and things. So now in that way we see this we become naturally conditioned to certain things. No pros and cons. They are seen here, and they don't. They are different because of their different mental attitudes. The fruity workers or passionate men are compared to the crows, whereas all the perfect saintly persons are compared to swans. The crows take pleasure in a place where garbage is thrown out, just as the passionate fruity workers they take pleasure in wine and women, places for gross sense pleasure. So now you see, like there is a clear demarcation or distinction that is made. So crows, so they like to take pleasure in garbage or refuse items. So then, what is a refused item? So those things which are refused by saintly persons are considered to be refused items. So then the materialistic people also can tell the same thing. He like, no, we refuse to go to the temple and you are going there. You are like a crow. So they may also tell these things. So but we see what is refused. Living body and a dead body. Now what is considered to be refused item in this? Dead body. So why? There is no soul, there is no activity and things like that. So in the same way, like when Krishna consciousness is removed from certain activity, so Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya, Jati Shastra Japa Tapa, Apranasya Dehasya Mandalam Lokaranjana. It is not that if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not that we don't find the subject matter which is present in the mundane literatures. So you find everything practically personalities like Maharaj Yudhishthira, who's having tremendous amount of wealth and all kinds of opulence and things like that, and you find this literatures in Srimad Bhagavatam itself. You will find Maharaj Pururava is so much attracted to Urvashi, right? So he's so much attracted to Urvashi. So that kind of subject matter is also there. And you will find Priyavrat Maharaj, who's having the dominion over entire universe, and then he is creating a parallel sun, in competition to the existing sun. And you will find all sorts of subject matters that are there. So the material mundane literature and the transcendental literature, if you find, practically speaking, all the subject matter which are there in the mundane literature is present in the transcendental literature also, but in connection with Krishna. So when you remove that connection with Krishna, so that is like removing the life, and then what remains is the refused item. That is why the people who are passionate workers, fruitive workers. So fruitive, the word fruitive means like sakama. So fruit means one who's interested in the results of his activity. So when we perform an activity, so we get some results out of it, and we become attached to that results. So then such a kind of work is called fruitive activity. So but nishkama, nishkama karma is also there. So that is called non-fruitive. So non-fruitive activity. So that is appreciated by the transcendental personalities and saintly personalities. So those people who are fruitive, so they are either in mode of ignorance or passion. So mode of ignorance means they try to get the material sense gratification by breaking all the rules and regulations. And passionate means they try to get the material sense gratification by following the rules and regulations. So both of them are looking behind material sense gratification. Fruitive workers, both of them are fruitive workers. That is why fruitive workers means generally it is categorized under passionate and ignorance. So these two categories is actually considered. So now, so these people, so they are actually taking pleasure in the refused items. So refused, it is not just because saintly persons refuse. So refused, even technical sense, like it is there. Whatever the mundane literatures have, the transcendental literatures also have all the subject matters which are there. Fight is there. Like Kurukshetra is there. Such an amazing fight, right? So and even Ramayana, like also like Ram and Ravan fight, like very very amazing fight that is there. So all possible things, whatever the mundane literatures or mundane films, whatever they have, every aspect is there in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord also. So, but only thing, the difference is the mundane literatures, some mundane person is the center of attraction, and the transcendental literatures, the Lord is the center of attraction. So that's the difference between these two literatures, and that makes the difference between the swans and the crows. So the swans they get attracted to very clean, serene place. The crows get attracted to refuse. So you see this body, like this body is now functioning. Like we all like to associate with people who are living. So, but if somebody is a dead person, so even if he is like very very dear to us, like one's own like dear parents or like husband or a wife or whatever, whoever it may be. So we will not keep the body beyond like 24 hours. So we will try to do the Antim Samskar as quickly as possible. So because it is something the soul is, the soul is not present, so then that becomes refuse. So in the same way, here also if Krishna consciousness is removed from certain literature, so then that becomes refuse. So in that way, like only the materialistic people will take pleasure in such a kind of conference. The swans do not take pleasure in place where crows are assembled for conference and meetings. They are instead seen in the atmosphere of natural scenic beauty, where there are transparent reservoirs of water, nicely decorated with stems of lotus flower in variegated colors of natural beauty. Like Prabhupada is giving a very nice natural scenery, and this is we have seen like those of you who have gone to some natural parks and things like that. So you would have found such kind of serene settings is where the swans, they are there. Swans are a very regal bird, so they are not found in general city locations and things like that. So they are seen only in the clear water and very natural scenic place and things like that. So very very regal and very clean. They would keep themselves also clean. But it is not like they are not dirty birds. So like they are very very clean. So they are birds in every species of life. Within that species, there are categorization of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So in the trees also there are trees which are in goodness, passion, and ignorance. The birds there are things in goodness, passion, and ignorance. And generally buildings also it's in goodness, passion, and ignorance. So generally like the cement buildings and all it comes under passionate category. Goodness category means like the traditional kind of thatched systems and also like stone structures and things like that. So they all come under the category of goodness category. Like you will find the traditional temples when you go, you will find that kind of serene atmosphere actually. So, but in city when we are building temples, like because we are catering to passionate people, so if we are making too much goodness, people will not come also. So, but then in that, like we should perform Sankirtan and we should glorify the Supreme Lord, and which transcends the modes of material nature. But in order to attract the passionate people, so we also accommodate some elements of that. But then the when we choose the elements also we choose carefully like at the maximum like elements of mode of goodness. And so like in the city in a small place and things like that when we try to build, so we may have to take support of the items which are in the category of passion. So but then we should try to utilize it fully in the service of the Lord, and over a period of time so we should come back to the natural things which are in mode of goodness. So now, okay. So in this way, like the birds also have this different classifications, and the swans are in the category of mode of goodness, and crows are in the category of mode of ignorance, basically. So like in this way, like there are different birds that are there. So nature has influenced different species of life with different mentalities, and it is not possible to bring them up into the same rank and file. So you cannot, like by force or by You just put like swan and crow in the same place, but they will not stay. They will not be able to stay. Similarly, there are different kinds of literature for different types of men, different mentality. And now, if you see carefully, Narada is chastising Vyasadeva. Why is he actually speaking about this verse? What is he comparing to? What chastisement he wants to give to Vyasadeva? So whatever literature Vyasadeva has written, Narada is criticizing that is Mahayasam Tirtham. So like it is basically speaking, Vedas are not so bad or something like that. But for very very exalted personalities, we see that in the Bhagavad Gita also it is explained. Krishna explains in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So for people who are neophytes in the path of Krishna consciousness, for them this karma is considered to be the means of making advancement. And for people who have made sufficient advancement in Krishna consciousness, giving up that and taking up to intense form of bhakti is considered to be the means of making further progress. So in that way, like what is Narada Muni criticizing about Vyasadeva's composition is dharma artha kama. Like performance of dharma for the sake of artha and kama. So that particular thing which Narada is actually criticizing, and bulk of the Vedic literatures are comprised of this. Even when Krishna is speaking in the Bhagavad Gita, he also mentions this particular thing. Traigunya Vishayo Veda, Nishtraigunya Bhavaj. So the Vedic literatures are speaking about Traigunya, like 3 modes of nature. So when the 3 modes of nature will come into picture, when a person is interested in sense gratification, fruitive mentality is there, then the 3 modes of nature comes into the picture. And Nishkama Karma onwards, it is devotional service. Such kind of a thing is glorified. But then, bulk of the Vedic literatures is Traigunya, which Krishna himself certifies also. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. The same very thing, here Narada Muni is also mentioning to Vyasadeva, that whatever you have written, all of them are facilitating Traigunya, like 3 modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, because of this is considered to be a Mahayasam Tirtham. So, only persons who are interested in 3 modes, they will only be interested in the Vedic literatures, and they will not you have not given sufficient provision for transcending the material nature. So then this particular thing is mentioned, and Prabhupada is now comparing it to the modern day mundane literatures which are there. So that is more relevant and more comparable for us. Similarly, there are different kinds of literature for different types of men of different mentality. Mostly the market literatures which attract men of prose category are literature containing refuse remnants of sensuous topics. So you see that the literatures which talk about sense gratification, so literatures which talks about how to cook nice recipes for my sense gratification. So that is also Mahayasam Tirtham. And how to enhance my economic situation, for my sense gratification. Or some literatures are like very very gross, which deals with relation between man and women in a very derogatory way and things like that. So that's so like very very degraded kind of literatures. So such literatures, are of the prose category, and which contains the refuse remnants of sensuous topics. So refuse remnants, as we discussed, because it doesn't have Krishna consciousness. So if you see, like in one place, in one of these sections only, Srila Prabhupada actually comments on one shloka. He mentions that what makes the Vedic literatures or the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and all these things, like even now, if some cartoon or some serial is made on this Ramayana, Mahabharata, and things like that, or even old serial, which is like the DD that used to come. So like if Mahabharata is replayed, everybody will see. So it is not that it is not a new film and how many times we will see and things like that. Again and again we will be tempted to see that. So why is it so? Because it has, Prabhupada writes that it is replete with pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And this is like a preservative. If you have some food item and if you don't add preservative to it, and over a period of time it disintegrates or it gets decomposed and things like that. So, but if you add preservative, that stays for long. So, in the same way, the Vedic literatures, there is all sorts of things are covered. All things are covered, but it is added with Krishna's pastimes. So when it is mentioned with Krishna's pastimes, so they are like very very it's like a preserved this one. Even though Ramayana happened like thousands and millions of years ago, still like people are so fascinated about that particular this one because it has life. That's a literature of life. So the dead material, even now we see that like people who take pleasure in dead materials like dead animals and things like that. So non-vegetarian. So then that also offers pleasure, but that doesn't offer that kind of pleasure. But somebody may say like you're killing plants and eating. That is also dead material only. But it is first offered in the sacrifice to the Supreme Lord, and then we accept it as prasad. So because of touch of the Supreme Lord, it is sanctified and it has life. That whole food has life actually. So because of that, like it is not a refuse subject. No. So it makes the whole thing very nice actually. In fact, in the Ramayana, like when we see that when Lord Rama goes to Sabarish ashrama, so that time, like he was told by one another personality that you should go in a particular place, and there you will find this ashrama of this Shabari. That Kavanda. He mentions that, and he also mentions that ashrama is like very special and many wonderful. Alaukik means like very. Amazing things are there in that ashram. So you should, when you go to that ashram, you should take darshan of all those things. So then, like when Lord Rama meets Shabari, like she was very happy serving Lord Rama, and she wants to quit her body uh, in the presence of Lord Rama. And before that, Lord Ram is asking, like, no, I heard about the glory of this ashram, so I want to, see and practically, like, see this. What are the wonderful things that are there here? Please, tell me, like, what all things are there here. And she tells that her spiritual masters, like the servants of a great Rishi, and all of them, they performed very wonderful, devotional service. And when Lord Rama came to Chitrakoot, so that time, so they all, went back to Godhead. So like their time came to depart, and the Vaikuntha airplanes came and they took. And Shabari was a very faithful servant of all these sages, and she was very anxious to go back to Godhead also. But then the sages told, so you have some service, so the Supreme Lord will come. So you serve, and then you can you can actually come back to the spiritual world. And she was, honestly waiting for all those things, and she was like, preserving so many nice foodstuffs and things like that and all. So, like Shabari was very happy when Lord Rama asked this question, tell about the glory of this ashram. And she first glorified her, Matanga Rishi's disciples. So Matanga Rishi's disciples. So like, so those, all the sages, like first she glorified about them, and then she showed the altar, where they would worship. So like all the flowers that are offered, in the worship of the Lord. So it is like when Lord Rama reached Chitrakuta, so that time, these people left. That means like good 10, 11 years passed. By the time all these sages left, and then like Shabari is waiting. So when they left that time, whatever flowers they offered to the Lord, in their altar, that those are still fresh and fragrant. And then and she mentioned about this one, the nature of the forest also. It is ashrama is there in the middle of the forest. And the nature of the forest is all the flowers and fruits in that whole forest. So they never go like deteriorate or pale or anything like that. So they are all always fresh actually, always fresh. And another important feature that she mentions is that in that forest, The tiger and deer are friends. So in many other glories are there. So all these things, she actually mentions. So and she mentions this is all because of the tapasya that these sages actually performed in that particular place. The whole place got transformed, like that. So in this way, like we see that what we were discussing. I just took a tangent here. Touch of Supreme Lord sanctifies everything, and the literatures which glorify the Supreme Lord, so they are preserved, and they are like those are still now, even they are very much glorified, and repeatedly even we hear about them, so we don't get bored hearing about such this ones. So like so the mundane literature, that is finished. That's finished. So they are the mundane literatures. They are generally known as mundane talks in relation to the body and subtle mind. They are full of subject matter described in decorative language, full of mundane similes and metaphorical arrangements. If you see that the alankar, the similes or the metaphorical arrangements and things like that. So the Bhagavatam, it has very amazing alankars. Alankar means how we decorate the Lord with nice flowers and things like that. In the same way, in the literature also there is something called alankar. So the way of descriptive, and poetic way of describing the whole scene and things like that. So even the mundane literature have all these metaphorical arrangements, and even the transcendental literature also have these metaphorical arrangements. So, but then, in spite of all those things, they are considered to be mundane. Yet with all that, they do not glorify the Lord. Such poetry and prose on any subject matter is considered decoration of a dead body. So decoration, like of a dead body is that apranasya dehasya vandanando karanju. So like this one, if Bhagavad Bhakti heenasya, if you remove Bhagavad Bhakti from any subject, then it becomes a dead body. So Srila Prabhupada often used to say about the mundane education as slaughterhouse. He used to call the modern schools as slaughterhouse of children and things like that. So why such a strong this one is used? We find so much of use in the modern education. In fact, like we are utilizing this microphone or the YouTube or like all this technology and things like that. We are utilizing all of that. So why are we criticizing the science and technology to be like this bias in Tirtham or like it is not proper and things like that. So why are we criticizing in this way? But we are utilizing all those things. In YouTube also we are seeing spiritual lectures and we get benefited also because of that.
Because of mode of goodness. This mic is used in a mode of goodness now. Right? Like we are using this for glory.
So that means we should continue to use all this modern technology.
The percentage. It comes in Krishna indicates like happiness in relation to Krishna. That is intention for this created by someone. No touch of Krishna's body.
But we are using it in Krishna's service, no.
But as long as we are using it in Krishna's service, it has life no.
Yeah, so that means we can continue to do all this industrial advancement and things like that because we are using it in Krishna's service. Car we are using it, flight we are using it, all those things we are using it. So then why Prabhupada is criticizing about modern advancement?
We can get distracted easily.
We can get distracted easily.
No, God is not.
But we are using it in Krishna's service. So we are keeping God in the center now.
But in the education,
They are not actually. They are not trying to use it for.
But we are trying to use We are trying to use it in Krishna's service. So we can keep doing this scientific advancement and things like that.
as long as you use in the Krishna service, it's good. Other than that, it's not. But the percentage.
Other than that, it is not good. No, even for Krishna's service also it is not good. Sometimes proper rights like that.
The percentage of people who are coming into Krishna consciousness is less comparatively.
See, no, it's not like that. if you see, everything that exists belongs to Krishna. Everything is Krishna's property, and it should be utilized in his service. And how to use the property of Krishna, Krishna has given this one. So the modern industrial enterprises are against Krishna's principles of how to use Krishna's property. You know? Like so now, in order to produce these materials, we need to exploit the material nature too much to the extent the ozone layer depletion happens or the natural balance actually gets disturbed and pollution increases and all those things are happening. This is definitely not the way to utilize Krishna's property. So, but the logic, the Prabhupada's logic or the spiritual logic is that it is not supposed to be done, but you have done it. So now, if you have done it, it is Lord's property. It should be used in Krishna's service. But further going forward, don't do it. So whatever you do it with Krishna's property, it is Krishna's property only. It has to be used in Krishna's service only. So, but after we become educated, in Krishna's in the Vedic literatures, so then we should even do production also as Krishna wants. So now production is not happening as Krishna wants. Only result, okay, production is done. So now what to do? Like we utilize that in Krishna's service. So, but going forward, we should also do production also as Krishna wants. So that is the way. So if you see in the Vedic times, there were like no dearth of actually advancement in technology. So even Lord Rama's time, there is Pushpaka Viman and things like that, which just travels by the direction of the line. So the driver doesn't need to even hold some whistle or like put some buttons or something like that. He just simply have to desire and then the airplane takes. So now actually we have got degradation in the scientific advancement. So we should not tell that when we have made material advancement, we have become degradation. We have lost the subtle sciences and we are just playing with the gross sciences actually. So the reason why in the past gross sciences were not advanced, because they were much advanced in subtle sciences. They were much advanced in the platform of mind and subtle body and things like that. So because of that, they didn't want to advance in material science like or gross sciences. Right? So we are, in fact, materially speaking, also we have degraded only. We have not made advancement. So this is just that we think that advancement is how quickly if I order a product, how quickly it can come. So that is not the advancement actually. So that is actually degradation. So anyway, so such poetry and prose or any subject matter is considered decoration of a dead body. Spiritually advanced men who are compared to the swans do not take pleasure in such dead literatures, which are sources of pleasure for men who are spiritually dead. So these literature in the mode of passion and ignorance are distributed under the different labels, but they can hardly help the spiritual urge of human being, and thus the swan-like spiritually advanced men have nothing to do with it. So before this, that we started, that the material education is considered to be slaughterhouse or not very good and things like that. So why? The subject matter itself is not wrong. The subject matter is dealing with the material energy of Krishna, how to utilize the material energy of Krishna. But then when it is used without reference to Krishna, then that becomes a dead literature or that becomes a poisonous literature. But if the very same thing is studied, if you see the Vedic literatures also have mathematics, the Vedic literatures also have all our modern trigonometry or this or that, all of them is there in the Vedic literatures. But it is all taught in such a way in connection with the Supreme Lord. So in fact, in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we find the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, and there it is very, very nicely mentioned that everything that exists is expansion of the Supreme Lord. And essentially Lord only exists. Lord and his energies exist. And in spite of that, if you happen to see something which has no connection with the Supreme Lord, that's not possible. Basically, everything is created by him and everything has its connection with the Lord. And in spite of that, if you are able to see something in disconnection from the Lord, then you should understand that to be the Maya or illusion. And so that is exactly the same, this one here also, the material subject matters. So material subjects, they are spoken about Krishna's energy, Krishna's material energy without connection with Krishna. So that is the fault in the literature. So the fault in the literature is not that mathematics is wrong or physics is wrong or chemistry is wrong. So because these subject matters are explained in such a way, in disconnection from Krishna. So that is the problem over there. So that is a specific problem over there. So that is why, like the spiritual personalities, they don't accept such literatures. These literatures in the mode of passion and ignorance are distributed under different labels, but they can hardly help the spiritual urge of the human being, and thus the swan-like spiritual advancement have nothing to do with that. The spiritual urge is there with everybody. Like basically, you see that if you have a vehicle like the modern vehicles like Fortuner or something like that, which drinks a lot of petrol, diesel, whatever it is. So accordingly, you should feed that vehicle. And then if there is a vehicle like cycle or something like that, you just need to put a little bit of air and it will keep going, and little bit oiling and stuff like that. So you don't need to pump in so much of petrol. So there is a need for every vehicle. Every vehicle has a particular capacity of consumption, and there is a need for every vehicle. And in the same way, we are also, if you analyze this vehicle of ours, so we are spirit souls and we have a material body. And we have a spiritual need and we have a material need as well. So both of these things are there. So and until unless these needs are meted out, so we will not be peaceful. So the peace, we will become calm and peaceful only if all our needs are met. So now these material ones are there. Like when you make property, you will become happy. You get a better job, you will become happy, or you will get whatever maybe the material things are needed, and that is being promoted. This will make you happy, and that's the whole sort of advertisement industry and things like that. And the essence is this will make you happy. But even though they are advertising so much, nobody is actually happy. If people become happy, their businesses they'll go out of business. And in fact, if you see, like yesterday, we were discussing in one house program, and there one devotee was mentioning that he had a cycle. When his father bought that cycle for him in 6th standard, and after that, he went to the college, and for college he had to travel a long distance, and he took the cycle in a luggage vehicle or some lorry or something like that. And then after finishing the college, he came back to the same cycle and things like that. So he was mentioning. So you see that 6th standard to graduation of college, the same cycle, and still it was working perfectly fine. And today's vehicle you take, it is made for crash, like crash or something like that. So after some time, you will stop getting the spare parts, and even if it is going, something will go wrong, in that. So you see that your gadgets or your physical items or whatever it is, something has to go wrong. So I don't know how many of you have the experience of using an ambassador car. So I have seen in one of my relatives' home, it was there for 2-3 generations, the same car, and it was working fine. And nowadays, if you buy a car, how long you can use? 10-15 years, and beyond that, maybe you can do FC for another 5 years, and beyond that, you will only give it eventually. So everything will start breaking apart and things like that. How is it possible? And we have made advancement, we have made technological advancement and things like that. So how is it possible that our older car was quite stable, and the new vehicle is the modern versions are so breaking apart and things like that. So it is not by some fault or negligence or something like that. It is by plan. It is by plan because how many of you think our economy should flourish very nicely? Our economy should go very nicely, right? So that is when our jobs will be there. That is when our khana pina will be there and things like that. And what is the modern definition of economy is how much of sales that is happening, how much of transactions that is happening and things like that. So in order to keep the number of transactions up, a genuine concern from the economist is that the products that you buy has to fail. That is when you will go and buy new products. If things are long lasting and things like that, so then there will be not much of transactions in the society. And if there is not much of transaction in the society, economy will fall, and all your illusory jobs you will lose all the illusory jobs that you are working on. So for this to go on, we need to produce products in an ever accelerating rate, and for that we need to exploit the material nature in an ever expanding or ever accelerating way. And in this way, if we keep maintaining our economy, very soon the planet Earth will go for trash. So like that is the whole this one about modern economy, because it is an artificial thing. It's quite an artificial thing. So Vedic economy, what is the standard of Vedic economy? Huh? What is the standard of Vedic economy? What if it happens? The economy is considered to be thriving and flourishing.
People living.
Huh? Cows and land. No, these are the two things. If people have sufficient number of cows and sufficient amount of land, so and everybody, even the Aam Aadmi has sufficient amount of cows, land, and gold. So they are considered to be doing very well economically. They are doing very well. So in that consideration, where are we? Completely nowhere actually. In the Vedic economical consideration, we are completely nowhere. So because it is just like, see, you are playing. Imagine you are playing a football, and then your goalpost is this side, and somebody has convinced you, no, your goalpost is this side, and everybody is focusing on putting the ball on this side. Yes. If you put the ball on this side, you'll lose the game actually. So now the modern propaganda is that like Vedic economy, like the Vedic system and things like that is the prosperity and all those things. But then that is like somebody changed the direction of the goalpost. It is told that no sense gratification and exploitation of nature and consumer kind of a society. That's what is the goal of life, and everybody is running behind that. So everybody is completely running behind it. So that's what these mundane literatures actually speak about. And so we devotees are somewhere in the border. So we understand that this is wrong, what is going on is wrong. But then we are in the midst of all those things. So we cannot eject ourselves also now at this point in time. And we know what is right, and the right is quite far away, right? So in this way, our situation may be in this kind of situation, but then we should try to proceed towards the normalcy, the normal way of living and things like that. And so that's something that we should try to do. Such spiritually advanced men who are called also as Manasa, because they always keep up the standard of transcendental voluntary service to the Lord on the spiritual plane. This completely forbids fruitive activity for gross bodily sense satisfaction or subtle speculation of material egoistic mind. Social literary men, scientists, mundane poets, theoretical philosophers, and politicians who are completely absorbed in material advancement of sense pleasure are all dolls of material energy. They take pleasure in a place where rejected subject matter are thrown. According to Swami Sridhara, this is the pleasure of a prostitute hunter. So why it is considered to be such a very harsh word? So prostitute hunter means a person who is looking for parastri, so like looking for association of women who are not his wife, who are not legitimately supposed to associate with. So in the same way, we see that everything that exists is Krishna's property. And illegitimate way, if we want to access Krishna's property, that's actually, it is like parastri or paradravya, trying to access somebody else's property. This is like mentality of a prostitute. So that is why it is mentioned that anything that we use, we should first offer it in the service of the Lord. Now you see, like in our Vedic tradition, in our families, as children we have observed these things, that during Diwali, we'll be so eager to burst crackers. So, but then, parents will keep all that in the altar and puja karna hai pehle, uske baad milega. Then like, ye sab kyun, we just have taken burst and things like that. So this culture was there that everything that we bring in, new vehicle we buy, gadi puja hona chahiye. A new cloth we buy, it should first be kept in front of the Lord, and then we should take it. And any foodstuffs, like in the Vedic tradition, any foodstuff that is to be consumed, that should be first offered to the Lord. Later on, it became weekly once offering, and later on it became like festival offering and things like that. Abhi tak festival offering chal raha hai, so daily offering chala gaya. So, but in the Vedic tradition, if we dig deep into our forefathers and things like that, you will find that everyday offerings were happening in the home. That's like normal thing. It's a normal thing. So this is the Vedic system. So now that we are understanding that we should bring Krishna at the center. We should not use Krishna's energy without proper procedures of using it. Actually. So then it will be proper. So, but if we directly use Krishna's energy in our sense gratification, then it is like enjoying parasri or paradravya. So like that. So because material nature is feminine in nature, so and act of sense gratification means it is an act of purusha. So so that act, if it is not in relation with Krishna, so then it becomes this pleasure of a prostitute. But literature which describes the glories of the Lord are enjoyed by Paramahamsas who have grasped the essence of human activities. So such literatures are Srimad Bhagavatam, which glorify the Supreme Lord, which glorify the activities and pastimes and Nama Rupa Guna Leela of the Supreme Lord. So they are considered to be worthwhile literatures to be discussed and relished upon. Right? So with this I pause today's discussion. Any questions, comments?
Very nice session you have given, and some of the takeaways for me. Any activities happening in night is a mode of ignorance. So just I am able to relate now. So we used to study in the night for at least for my engineering and everything. So I am able to relate now. And you have also put a very nice point on that prosperity should be considered as a land and cow. So now we are in corporate job. We are always in anxiety. Oh, my manager should not get angry, or company should not go into the loss. But if we think about the older one, right? So cow is there at home only. Whatever will happen everywhere, right? Cow is there at home, and pigs are also there, right? So maybe you will not eat some particular one, like aloo is not there, then you will not eat aloo. But whatever is there,
and you can trade also from others.
Yeah.
Barter happens.
Yes, like barter system. So it was a very nice system that was there, and I don't know, somehow we have shifted to corporate sector and.
So one of our brahmacharis here in temple, so he comes from a village background, and he was very much astonished when he went home, recently. So when he was a small boy, he has seen that if somebody in the village is constructing a building, constructing their house or something like that, everybody will come maybe haath lagaunga thoda, सब मिलके कर देंगे. So and now he was very astonished that people are asking for labor ki ye kaam karne ke liye kitna denge. So that kind of a transaction has come. So for him it is quite astonishing because in the village everybody were so thickly connected, and then everybody used to help each other. So in that way, solid this one connect was there, and now everybody are telling me anything has to happen. How much? The rate is being discussed actually. So that is quite a marked degradation. Even in the villages, it is actually happening. So Srila Prabhupada tells in one place that till the time the standardization of currency did not happen. So people were so large-hearted. So they had so much of grains, and if they every year so much of grains is getting produced, and what they will do, take even charity also quite sufficient and things like that. When standardization of money came, standardization of gold and things like that, then the accumulation tendency started. So then after that, greed and all those things, and the whole degradation of society actually started. So when the people were directly transacting in gold, so that time people were still very very large-hearted actually.
And any of Shastra or anything, right? If the Lord's glories are not there, or Lord is not discussed in any meeting or anywhere, right? That is mundane. So.
Prabhuji, so this comment, always Prabhupada used to quote Sridhar Swami. Please read this.
He's one of the previous acharyas, previous to even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's considered to be the original commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam in our line. So, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to relish his commentary very much. Huh? If I'm not wrong, yes. Hare Krishna.
So I was just asking, like in the barter system, you said that the barter system is there, so like anybody has grains, there will be expenses. But the problem with the barter system is that there's double coincidence of wants.
What is it?
Double coincidence of wants. Like if I have an apple and I have wheat, so I need to find somebody who wants wheat and will give me an apple.
So, see, in the Vedic system, like the thing is, eko bhumamya vidadati kama. So that means if you have a desire and if you have sufficient dharma or punya, so then Lord will arrange for that thing to come to you. So you have that this one, like I have a desire, and the responsibility to fulfill that desire lies with the Lord. So I must do my activities nicely, and Lord will fulfill my desires. So if I don't get an apple, so that means like no, it is not there in my punya, to get an apple. So then no, I tolerate. So that is why Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita that matras prashatam punkte sitoshna subhadukkara atama payano amritis kalpitikshna sabhava. So you will want so many different things, but no, you may not be able to get all that you want. So but you tolerate. But if you perfect your life and go back to the spiritual world, so there Kalpa Vriksha will be there. The moment you think I want an apple, immediately you will have an apple. So that is the spiritual existence. In the material world, you may have there will be gap between what is the expectation and like what is available. So that even in this, like if you are pious, so definitely like you will get whatever you want. By the arrangement of God. In fact, this one, His Holiness Indrananda Maharaj, he came, So how he came to Krishna consciousness, that's a very nice story. So he was looking for, something, he and his wife, like, they were, when he was married before, and then he took sannyas. So like, he and his wife, they were, strolling and trying to find, some this one. And they found, this devotees were doing Sankirtan, like in a park. And he went to the devotees and then he asked, like, what you people are doing? They told, like, so we are devotees of Krishna and we want to attain God, and Sankirtan is the means of attaining God. So then what about your Kana Pina and things like that and all? So that Lord will take care. And you don't even have proper shoes. If I desire, Lord will take care. And you are just doing Kirtan. And somebody like comes and shouts like, does anybody want a 11 number shoe? No, I have a shoe which is not fitting my legs. And then this devotee says, yes, I am. And he gets the shoe. And Maharaj goes flat, this thing works. And he wanted and he got it. and then these devotees, like, they did Kirtan and they went away. And Maharaj was searching, where are these people? Like, I want to ask more things from them. What is their philosophy? What is that they are doing and things like that. And he was practically searching everywhere, like, where to find them and where to find them and things like that. So, in that way, like, so people who are, very advanced, in Krishna consciousness, for them, whatever they desire, it immediately happens. And, otherwise, like, we have to tolerate a bit. And then whenever we qualify ourselves, the Lord will award whatever we desire for. And Raj,